The internet has come a long way from being something that nerds and only nerds would actually enjoy to basically being one of the biggest, if not the biggest way people interact, discuss pieces of media, or even just create pieces of media in the case of stuff like analog horror and even short films.
Hey. You just gonna leave that ice cream there?
But when it comes to the actual idea of digital media literacy, we actually have a lot to talk about. So I'll break it down into simple sort of sections, starting with... Now, in order to explain the units of digital media literacy into 4 different sections, I gotta do what I normally don't do on this channel, or even at all for that matter, or at least I try not to. Go on a webcam and explain it for you. I know, cringe, but I have to do it, mainly because my assignment says I have to. So, anyways, take it away, flesh me. God, that guy's such a fucking prick. Hello, everybody. It's me, your boy. Stupid, I'm so sorry. So, anyways, this is the introduction to... Why are my hands like this? Basically, this is the introduction to digital media literacy. Yay! Yeah, this is perfect. So basically, as you can tell, I'm doing the video essayist thing. Basically, each section of digital media literacy is set up into different units, or as I'm going to call them, sections. So section 1 is the learning guide. This is basically kind of like the communication / still frame analysis intro. But this is basically like Unit 1 is just your classic learning guide. They cover stuff like mass communication and like critical media literacy analysis, basic compositional skills of photography, and other stuff like that. In Unit 2 is about the visual cultural moving image theory. Basically, it just means like, basically you gotta use basic film grammar, cinematography, mise en scène, like I have a hard time saying it, okay, give me a break. Continuity, 180 degree rule, other stuff like that. The third unit is actually the most interesting one because it's about the news and broadcast news, digital sources, misinformation, and other wonderful stuff like broadcast news, regulator practices, talking heads, and I'm not talking about the band, integrate messaging, journalism in the digital age. Like, we covered a lot in this section. And finally, what's actually the most interesting, podcast and vlogging. And that's going to come up a little bit more later. Okay. You'll see why. And the final one is another interesting one. This is about new media influences. Basically, it just means influencers, content creators, target marketing, algorithms, data consumption and collection, and of course, everyone's favorite, memes! And of course, content marketing and advertisements and algorithms again, and social media and gaming. And of course, we all know the oppressed group of people are always the gamers. Am I right?
With the glass ceiling broken, all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.
So, you might be wondering, what drew me to this class to begin with, or what drew me to this certificate or whatever? Well, I wanted to study digital video production, and this was one of the first classes there, but that's kind of a lame answer, let's be real here. Truth be told, I was just kind of curious. I mean, like, what is digital media literacy? Like, I've heard of media literacy, but I've never heard of digital media literacy, so I wanted to learn more about that. Because, you know, it's like, if it's a part of my credit course, I gotta get something out of it, you know? So that's the reason why, and also certain aspects about the class really interest me, and how they taught me a little bit about like filmmaking itself, how like social media really works and how algorithms work, and just a bunch of really interesting stuff that I can't really get into right now because it will be a lot, but yeah. So I'm gonna go through not all my assignments, but just what I contributed to each assignment of each unit. So I'm gonna pick one assignment that I did from one unit. Alright, so that way this video isn't like super long. So I'm going to start with the still frame analysis. Now this one was actually kind of interesting because I've always heard of the phrase every frame is a painting. You know, every film frame can be a painting. You know, I've always kind of heard that. I mean, there's an entire YouTube channel that's literally called that. And I didn't really give it much thought until I had to do this assignment, because it's like, really? I gotta choose one still frame from a thing I like? And I decided to choose Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters, and mainly this. This. Well, right over here. I chose it because of 3 main reasons. Number 1, I love Mishima, Life in 4 Chapters. For those who don't know, this was a film directed by legendary filmmaker and writer Paul Schrader. It came out in 1985, actually. So technically it's going to be its 30th anniversary. Anyways, this film, and for those who don't know Paul Schrader, he wrote movies like Taxi Driver, The Last Temptation of Christ, Raging Bull, and he also directed a bunch of his own movies, but one of the films that really stuck with me was Mishima. And I think it's because of 3 main reasons. Number 1, the structure of the film is very unique. It tackles the life of Mishima, like Yukiro Mishima, but it also adapts his work. Number 2, the film looks absolutely like jaw-dropping, like even like 30 years later, like the cinematography and the like color palette, like it all looks amazing. Alright, it looks great. And number 3, it's actually a film executive produced by Francis Ford Coppola and George Lucas. That's not one of the reasons why, I just wanted to add that as like a cool little fact. So anyways, this is the scene that I showed you before that I decided to choose. I chose this scene because it's a pivotal moment in the story. So there's basically, for brief context, there's this guy who wants to kill this Japanese politician because he is like a Japanese nationalist. He believes in the emperor and he doesn't like this politician, so he wants to kill him. So he's meeting these people at this spot and he's basically saying, hey, are you in or are you out? And a bunch of people stayed, and this sequence plays. And the reason why I showed it is because it tells you a lot about the movie, at least I think it does, without actually spoiling everything. You see the guy in the middle, that guy is the leader. You know, he's the one leading all of them. And the other guys are like his friends or lackeys or something like that. It tells you everything, but also the red color palette is striking. Like it really, really, really is. Because it can symbolize so much. It could symbolize Japanese nationalism, but it can also symbolize Japan itself. So that's the first assignment. This one is actually pretty simple. So for this assignment in Unit 2, he wanted us to make a TV show beat sheet. This is the TV show beat sheet that I created. I'm sorry if I can't show like all of it, but you get the basic idea from the images I'm showing you on screen like right now. So yeah, this is very self-explanatory, so I'll just move on. Alright, so this assignment took me a lot longer than expected because this is for the Unit 3 one that I described before. This is about the social media, the podcasting. See, I told you it was going to come up later. And you want to know the reason why is because I had to analyze and just talk about one of my favorite podcasts, that being the GGA podcast. Which, it's a great podcast, don't get me wrong, but I had to literally routinely analyze it in 5 sentences. Like, how it works is, sometimes he'll ask us to write 5 sentences for each sort of like question he gives you. So you got like 1, 2, 3, 4, and normally that's fine. You know, I write scripts for my YouTube channel and they could be like 3 pages, you know? So that's not the sentences that I have a problem with. It's just that it's kind of hard to talk about your favorite podcast because sometimes your favorite podcast is kind of hard to explain to people, if that makes sense. But I did it. You know, I didn't complain. I did it anyways. I mean, I kind of have to. I mean, it's an assignment. But I'm just saying, like, I didn't mind it. It was just kind of, it was a little annoying, but like, I can deal with that. You know, it's not that big of a deal. So I'll move on to the last assignment I did. Well, technically, this is my last assignment, but you know what I mean. Okay, so this last assignment, I'm just going to warn you ahead of time, this caused me the most headaches. And it's not because of the thing itself. I don't know why I was looking over there. The point is, it's not because of, not the video, but the game I was supposed to play. Alright, and that game is, basically it's kind of like a COVID game, where you're supposed to play like someone spreading fake news and COVID stuff. Here's actually all the medals and all like the different like aspects of the game. So, well, not different aspects, these are like the medals that I can show you. So, basically the game is called Go Viral, and this game was fine. The problem is, it's no longer available. So I had to use the Wayback Machine in order to play it, which is fine, but still. And to be fair, the guy who made the game, he actually did update it with a better game. So, you know, if you want to play that, I'll link it down below in the description, you know, if you want to play it out of curiosity. Because it is a very interesting game. Both games are very interesting. Except for the Go Viral one. You have to use the Wayback Machine for that. But, yeah. But honestly, like, the entire game made me feel kind of like the villain. You know? I know that feels cringy to say, but, like, it really made me feel like a villain. It made me feel like a gigantic POS. Alright? I don't know why, I just felt like I was on my Joker arc. Because I kept doing stuff like sending my fans like to attack this woman and other stuff like that. It's like, my god, I feel awful, man. And I kept saying that when I was doing notes for it, because I actually had to write notes for it, and then I had to like submit it and stuff like that. But like, I felt awful. Like, genuinely awful. Just doing that game. It made me feel very uncomfortable. But in a good way. You know, it kind of got me to think about, you know, like other stuff that's kind of similar to this. You know, the anti-vax stuff and, anti-woke brigades, which I talk, or at least I used to talk about a lot on my channel. I mean, I don't do that anymore, at least I'm not going to. So anyways, that's it's basically all the assignments I did for each unit. This also was included, but this is more of an exception. So let's get to the ending. So when it comes to digital media literacy, this is a very interesting and very strange topic for me. I had to think outside the box for certain things. It really did challenge me. And I'm not saying that like in a Katy Perry roar, like, oh my god, this challenged me. No, this literally challenged me. Like, on an emotional level. Like, I had to really think about, like, the things I say online. I have to think about what other people are saying online. And it kind of got me to realize, like, damn, people on social media suck. Like, my god. But there's also good people who just want to learn the news, like me. So that's basically all I have to say about digital media literacy. That's basically it. That's all. That's all she wrote. And I hope you enjoyed this video, if you even enjoyed it at all. I guess I'm not going to say like, comment, and subscribe because, this is not really my more normal videos. So just, I guess I could just say is stay informed, I'm not going to say stay woke because that's kind of lame, but I'm going to say stay aware and be safe. So remember this. Stay informed, stay aware, be safe. All right? Peace.